Women of Reddit, what are things men do that scares you but they don't realize? Messages you on a dating app commenting on having found your profile and that they are in the same location as you. They can see you, but you can't see them. I had a guy do this on a fully packed train I was on to go to work. I'm not an anxious person, but it felt really uncomfortable. Those apps need like a minimum number for the range it will tell you on how close you are to others. There's one app I know of that will go all the way down to how close in feet you are away from each other, and whenever I would be messaged by someone in that range, it was always creepy as hell. Following you to your car to get your number. Don't ever do that. Standing in doorways / blocking exits. Flirting is fun so long as you don't flirt by asking me where I live, and if I live alone, and, as an expat, if I know people in the area. If you want to chat, flirt, get to know me? Don't start with the questions that set off alarm bells in my head. What security system do you employ? Do you leave your windows unlocked, or, laughing out loud, just kidding? But do you? Have you by any chance built an immunity to chloroform? Just asking, haha. How quickly do you think you could reach a phone if somebody broke in? Just curious. Is that a Glock in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? Could I make a trace of your house key for the archives? I'm a bartender, and it's amazing how tactless people can be, as they get drunker. They just want to keep me by them by asking me question after question, so I have to cross the line into being rude if I want to put a stop to it. Sometimes, people come up with actually some pretty silly things to ask me, and it can be fun to engage them. But I absolutely hate. 1. Is this your only job? Where else do you work? 2. Do you live close to here? 3. Oh, you're closing, huh? When do you usually get out of here? 4. When do you work next? Do you normally work on this day of the week? 5. What are you doing after this? I don't think people always realize how they sound when they ask me these questions, but I've honestly been asked them so much it's ridiculous. And honestly, threatening undertones aside, they're the most utterly boring questions you could ask someone. The worst of small talk. How some men manage to be both unnerving and bore me to tears at the same time is utterly fascinating. I used to work in a small office, and occasionally I'd be the only one there to let a repair / delivery man in. Almost every single time, first thing they'd say to me, "No one else here today, eh? Or you going to be all by yourself the whole day?" Etc. For the most part, I think they were genuinely just trying to make conversation / oblivious, but it would immediately put me so on edge. Just had this happen to me on Saturday. I'm learning to lie and say, "Oh no, coworker just ran out to grab something, they should be back any minute." Although, this is not what I said on Saturday when asked if I was going to be here alone all day. Instant regret, laughing out loud, stupid. Why did I say, "Yes, that's how I prefer it," smiley face. I've been approached several times in public by random men who say they want to be friends with me. One leaned in really close to have a conversation and asked me where I was from and where I live. Another grabbed my hands and remarked on how soft my skin is. Another one literally locked arms with me and dragged me to a coffee shop to get to know me, and then later told me to come with him to a more private place for a view of the city. I weakly joke about it sometimes, but in the moment it really does make me nervous. I don't know if I just look really unimposing. I'm an Asian woman, but I'm taller than average? But I'm not sure why it happens. Regardless, please don't just grab random women, even out of friendliness, and respect personal space. Asian woman here too. This happened to me a lot in NYC. A few times, I got so sick of it I'd scream at them in the middle of the street and make a scene. They usually skitter away immediately. I hate to do that, but it's just infuriating. Nah, F politeness. Scream away. Also, I'm sorry this has happened to you. It's so creepy. Most recent time that happened, I was just taking a walk by myself to unwind from confinement, and this dude just catches up with me and says he want to be my friend, just asking a bunch of personal questions and wanting to know exactly where I live. Eventually I told him I'm married and he said, "Oh, I just want to be friends." I was originally going to go the same way he was going but ended up taking a different path. Yikes. That's terrifying. While talking online and I say, I don't know about meeting up, and his or her response is, you are more likely to be raped by someone you actually know in person. Yes. Not meeting up now. Yeah, if a dude is saying that, they are buttholes and know they are saying it. Calling them beautiful as much as possible. Once or twice is nice, if you know them, but if you don't know the guy and he says it too much, it freaks me out. On a Tinder date, this guy kept telling me how beautiful my skin was while he watched me eat. He didn't get anything. There was no second date. Your skin is so beautiful. I can't wait to wear it. What? Nothing. This is one thing in general that I don't think guys always get, how uncomfortable it makes people feel. As a guy, I never did this to people, but I never quite understood what the big deal about it was. I just figured if you don't like it, just ignore it. Then I grew my hair out. Now I have pretty spectacular hair, like thick enough that water rolls off it like a duck's back. After it started to get longer and you could see how thick, it was suddenly women started gushing over me. Like if I didn't have 2 or 3 patients make some type of a comment about how nice, beautiful, etc. every day, it was an unusual day. That's when I realized just how seriously uncomfortable and self-conscious it makes you when random people comment on your looks. Maybe it's my own self-consciousness and this isn't everyone, but it makes me super uncomfortable. Blocking my path or physically holding me in place if they are not done talking to me. Basically, using more strength/size to restrict my motion in any way. I'm seeing so many comments like this. I cannot believe it is common behavior. I'm a large man and couldn't imagine making a woman stay where I want. That's effing creepy. The reason it may be so common is because women are also made to feel as though a strong reaction in public is an overreaction. I've seen women tolerate this behavior often because they didn't want to make a scene. Hit on you in locations where you cannot escape, enclosed places like elevators, or workplaces. I had a taxi driver hit on me, question me about my love life, and ask for my number. I was literally locked in a moving vehicle with the guy. How are you supposed to feel safe saying no? Luckily, I think he was just a nice clueless guy, so I felt safe enough to negotiate and take his number instead of giving mine out. I was sexually assaulted by a taxi driver. I was dressed normally, headed to the Sky train on a Sunday morning. He aggressively hit on me and I either didn't respond, awkwardly laughed, or smiled uncomfortably, seeing as I was trapped there. He repeatedly asked that I put his number in my cell phone and I repeatedly declined, until eventually, I was uncomfortable enough that I just did it, so that he would stop asking. When we finally got to the destination, he turned around in his seat, reached into the back of the cab, and stuck his hands inside my shirt/bra and grabbed my boobs. I pushed him off of me and got out, threw the money down on the back seat and quickly ran into the station. I went to trial over it, and the judgment, it was deferred/issued in writing a few months after the trial, was something very similar to this. While it is established that touching did occur, it was not clear that it was of an unwanted nature. Some contributing factors were that I had agreed to take the guy's number and still shots from the event. It was caught on camera, showed me smiling. I really wonder what it is I was supposed to do differently. If you aren't polite, it might go from grabbing your boob to driving to a different area of the city to rape or kill you. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. I was sexually assaulted in an Uber, at around 2 a.m., while coming home from a music festival and drunk out of my mind. I just wanted a ride home. The driver saw an intoxicated and alone 20-year-old woman. He stuck his hand in my shirt and in my pants. I didn't want any of it, but I was too scared to realize I just had to get out of the car. This is kind of the thought that gave me the chutzpah to go to trial. It's sad, but I've been groped and sexually harassed enough times that somebody grabbing my boob wasn't even that traumatizing. It was just so infuriating that he would have the gall to do that to me in broad daylight outside a train station, completely sober. It kept me up at night thinking, if he had the balls to do that, what does he do to passed out girls in the back of his cab at 3 a.m.? Absolutely disgusting. I'm sorry that happened to you. This happened to me twice. One of the drivers bragged about being married and was my father's age. It was beyond creepy, especially at 3 a.m., when he's dropping me off at my home. I felt extremely unsafe. I started asking to be dropped off a block away from my apartment, just in case. A girl I know got the homophobic version of this. She answered she was a lesbian, true, when the guy hit on her and he refused to stop the car, insisting he could change her mind, with his penis that is. Luckily, he had to stop at a red light and she quickly got out of the car. I think there's a good chance this guy believed in what he was saying, maybe even thought he would be helping her out while enjoying some sex, and he might not have seen it as kidnapping and threatening sexual violence. Some parents have really failed their kids and we have to deal with it. Sadly, this same thing happened to me. I was in a taxi after being at a bar with friends and was in the front seat because my friends were in the back. He dropped them off first and I felt weird staying in the front, but I didn't want to be rude. Anyways, after they were gone, he literally stopped the car in an alley and held my seatbelt closed and was on top of me. I was terrified, and honestly it could have been worse. He didn't rape me. I just told him that I liked him and that he could have my number, but he had to take me home and be respectful. I mean, it could have been so much worse. It was bad. But not as bad as it could have been. This is what happens, and a lot worse, when women are taught to be polite rather than safe. I should have been rude. I could have been safe if I just went with my feelings of being uncomfortable and moved to the back rather than being worried about that a disgusting pig would think I was rude. Disappointed face. This is what happens, and a lot worse, when women are taught to be polite rather than safe. I should have been rude. Truth. I have put up with and been through a lot of bullcrap I should never have, because I didn't want to hurt someone's feelings or be a bitch. It took a lot of bad experiences and years of living to realize how bad crap my upbringing was. God, the number of old guys who hit on me when I worked customer service. Being nice does not equal flirting, especially when their whole job is to be nice. Once I was staying in a hotel with my boyfriend and needed to go down to the lobby. I got on the elevator and saw a guy holding flowers and wine, so I asked if he was meeting a girlfriend. I'm from the South, so it's just friendly small talk. He replied, something like that. You can come if you want to. It immediately made me nervous. Politely declined and said my boyfriend was waiting for me. He said, so to a guy like me, all I can hear you saying is that you'd come with me if he wasn't here. I was so upset. I didn't take the elevator alone again. I was once standing outside of a burrito stand, waiting for my order to take it home. This guy that's probably at least 20 years older than me happens to be walking by and decides to ask me out. I politely let him know that I have a boyfriend. I did not, but I just wanted him to go away. For the rest of the time I have to wait for my order, which was quite long, he keeps standing there next to me and proceeds to ask me what I'm doing with this guy, why he's not here with me, tells me that he's not good enough for me. There I am, defending my non-existent boyfriend to this creep. Unbelievable. And all I want you to hear is that I'm with a man, in case you try to follow me. What a creep. Oh, like my coworker who followed me into the elevator to ask me on a date but also wanted to know why I said no. He was twice my age. Anytime someone tries really hard to convince me he's a nice guy. Every guy I've met that desperately brings it up every chance he gets isn't usually very nice. It always makes me wonder, what are they trying to hide? Like, why do I have to think you're nice? Prove it with your actions, don't tell me repeatedly. Any guy who says he's a nice guy is not a nice guy. Good people do not declare they are good. They just are good, without the announcement. Jokingly using your strength to move me or keep me from moving. If I want to go home and you're pulling me back, I am not actually going along with it. You are stronger than I am and I literally cannot leave. Even without using strength, just kind of blocking the way when talking to a woman. It usually happens at clubs or bars when a stranger talks to you. I am quite small, which makes it especially intimidating if I can only escape the situation if you step aside. Edit, typos. I was with my ex in Korea for a couple weeks. She wanted to go clubbing and I didn't. I warned her that I had been warned that Korean guys are somewhat lax with grabbing girls after drinking. It happened to her and a guy forced her to kiss him. My ex is someone who just brushes that crap off, but I could imagine that can be really bad for certain people. Guys in Korea selling mobile contracts etc. apparently will just grab girls on the street. I live in Japan and it's the complete opposite. This is like the most anti-touching country in the world. Definitely, the same amount of creeps though. Edit, I wrote that before I went to bed, not sure what I meant. I think I meant the average person is very anti-touch. Not much hugging goes on here. Sexual harassment is rife here. Instead of combating it, the government does things like creating female-only train cars. My Japanese ex was allowed to wear regular clothes then change into the stereotypical sailor outfit at school. She said it was a 100% guarantee that she would be touched if she wore the uniform on the train. My ex was groped in the subway in Tokyo. They have separate cars for women. I don't think it's fair to say that Japan is anti-groping. How about when it's not jokingly? Out of anger is the scariest. For sure. Though then they probably realize on some level that they are being scary. And calling you beautiful or sexy while they do it, like that makes it okay. That's not going to make me want to go with you. Let the F go. I've had a guy lift me in the chair I was sitting in a few feet into the air as part of a joke. This would be absolutely terrifying and I don't think many guys fully understand it. I'm a pretty big dude, so for there to be someone with that kind of strength and size disparity over me, they would need to be extremely huge. There just aren't that many people like that around. If there are, I'm never in a position of being cornered or not allowed to leave a place because they just physically won't let me. For context, I'm over a foot taller than my wife is and close to 3 times her weight. No idea what our strength disparity is, but it's significant. For someone to be that much bigger than me, he or she would need to be close to 7.5 feet tall and close to 600 pounds. Even as an average guy, this is true. There are tons of people bigger and stronger than me out there, but very rarely does it happen where someone my size walks into a room and is physically outmatched by every single person there. I don't think most men realize just how crazy that is. It's like taking an average guy and making him walk into a prison yard where they do nothing but lift all day, for every single place you go. So you would need a professional basketball player who's also a pro wrestler to do that to you. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.